What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Vulnerable Moments, the podcast. I'm your host, Jovan J. Palmer, and as always, we got special guests sharing our most transparent and vulnerable moments. Today, we are talking about self-awareness. We are talking about creating brave spaces around you. We are going to get into those things because I feel like it's very important that we as human beings, especially as adults, we are becoming very self-aware of who we are, what we are, who's around us, what's around us, and how we are allowing things to be around us. And then we'll talk about, what does it mean to create a brave space? I'm going to hold on to that because many people may not know what a brave space is, and we're going to talk about that later in the episode. So let's get into it, family. Thank y'all for being here today. You could have been anywhere, but you decided to be here with me. So let's talk about self-awareness. What is it? So self-awareness pretty much is being aware of what's going on in two spaces. One, inside of you, and then two, outside of you. Inside of you is asking you, what is the body feeling? What are you feeling in your body? What is your heart saying? What is your gut saying? What is your chest saying? What is your mind saying? What is your jaw saying? What is your legs telling you? What is the body telling you that you need to do? Because the body is one of the most important things that you can manage and take care of. And if you don't take care of your body, if you don't listen to your body, if you don't understand what your body's saying and what is it doing, then you are not self-aware. Self-awareness is looking at my legs after a long trip and saying, oh, I've been sitting down for too long, they're a little swollen, I need to get some blood circulating. Self-awareness is saying, my heart is palpitating, something is stressing me out. I need to remove myself from this situation. Self-awareness is saying, something seems a little off about this space that I'm in, so I need to remove myself. Self-awareness is, understanding what's going on in people, places, and situations. So let's talk about, the self-awareness of the outside of the body. Okay, so you're in a space, you see someone, you see something that's not right. Self-awareness should tell you that, I need to get up out of here. I need to grab my people and get up out of here. I need to move. So being self-aware means that, I'm aware enough to know what's going on in me and around me. And if I don't know what's going on in me and around me, that means that, my self-awareness has dimmed itself, or I've allowed my self-awareness to be dimmed. And you got to understand that in this space of growing and healing, self-awareness is like the key essential thing, that you can be aware of. I'm dealing with a situation right now where I was talking to my therapist about a feeling that I was feeling, and people have asked me, how do you feel about this situation? And I can't go into details about it right now. I'm not ready to share that just yet. But my response is always, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And honestly, I didn't know how I felt about the situation. I was aware to know that there was something that was off about me that I was trying to figure out. But in that awareness, it was, I needed to go and get as we do as you were doing the medical profession, go get a second opinion. So my second opinion was my therapist. I explained the situation to her, and she pretty much said that, you're not ready. And part of me knew that I wasn't ready, and I think I may have psyched myself up to be ready. And I didn't. So self-awareness told me that, Jovan, you need not to do what you were going to do. You need not to go into that space that you were going to go into. You need not to be around, people, places, and things in this moment right now. That's not good for you. And it was a challenging decision for me because part of me wanted to be in that situation, because of maybe the external excitement. But my internal, self was telling me that no. My inner child was telling me no. The inner man in me was telling me no. There were so many no's inside of me that I had no choice but to say no. And I felt good about my decision. It brought tears, it brought tears to my eyes a few times talking about it with my therapist. And honestly, every time that I cry about various situations in my life, I heal a lot. I continue to heal. And to men out there who feel as if, there's no need to cry, I'm telling you, fellas, if you haven't listened to Life Jennings cry, he talks about, the importance of men crying. And I'm going to look up a few lyrics from it because I feel like it's very powerful that men and both women, because women can be very, they cannot cry because of their past situations. That's told them they need to be strong. They need not to cry because they need not to show, I'm about to say the word lyrics. They need not to show like weakness, and men were told not to show weakness. And self-awareness is also saying, you know what, I'm feeling something that's bringing tears to my eyes, and holding it in is just pretty much adding more pressure to your pipes internally. And, I'm realizing that I'm okay with crying in any moment, any instant, if I have to, if it's necessary. If I'm dealing with some hurt, if I'm dealing with some pain, or someone passes away, or, there's an emotional situation happening, like, a funeral or a wedding is happening, or, you got some good news from somebody who's been going through a hard time and you just want to rejoice with them. It's okay to cry in those moments, or what you're talking about a situation and it's bringing up an emotion that you've never felt before. Self-awareness should tell you that you should release that emotion, because when you hold in these emotions, you bottle them up, and then what happens is, like I said earlier, you're gonna burst eventually. And there's a such thing as a healthy cry and an unhealthy cry. The healthy cry is that you let the emotion out in the moment. The unhealthy cry is that when you allowed it to bottle up, and then somebody hits that button, or you hit that button, and then you're at your breaking point, and then what? You are no longer able to hold in that cry because it's now become any unhealthy cry in a very, maybe, yeah, we're just gonna call it an unhealthy cry. So in Life Jennings lyric, the song "Cry." He said, "I done had money, I done been broke, I done been talked about something awful, done been lied on by so many folks. I done even been depressed at times and didn't want to cry because my pride was too strong. But over the years, I thought it over, and after, and after struggling for so long and still holding on, I figured, can't be nothing wrong, all that wrong with crying. If anybody says that they're that strong, they're lying. See, crying is like taking your soul to the laundromat. It's like that feeling that you get when your grandmama smile or the heavens open up and the blessings rain down. Go on and child and cry, go on and cry, cry, cry. We can cry together." So in this song, he's talking about all the things that he's experienced in life, and how he's made it through. Like, I'll think about my life, and how all these experiences that I've had, and there's times when I think back in my life and I'm like, yo, how did I get out of that? How am I still here today? Why am I still here today? And in those moments, they bring up these emotions of, just one, thankfulness. Two, man, like sometimes part of the reckless things that I've done in life, I cry about those sometimes. Sometimes it brings tears to my eyes, and my self-awareness says, Jovan, it's okay to let those tears out. There's nothing wrong with crying. There's nothing wrong with holding, as a man, especially, letting out a tear or two. It's okay. It's healthy. And I feel like the strongest man is the one who shows signs of weakness in his most emotional and vulnerable moment. Same thing for a woman as well. Like, when you're supposed to be strong, or you feel like you gotta be strong, but in turn, you know what? You say, I just gotta be weak. Right now is a moment I have to be weak because I can't figure this out. I can't get through this. And that's okay. It's okay to have these moments because you're being aware of what your body is telling you. Your body is telling you, I need you to release this emotion. But the brain, the things that you have embedded in your brain tells you not to release them because society said, mama said, daddy said, brother said, sister said, homeboy said, homegirl said. Somebody down the line in your lifetime has told you that You need to hold an emotion. Men don't do that. Women don't do that. This isn't what we do. And being aware of, being aware enough to say, I'm going to let go of everything that I've learned. And I'm going to unlearn all my toxic, thoughts and patterns and everything that I've learned. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to renew my mind in the most healthy way possible. And oftentimes what happens is the perception that we have of ourselves versus the perception of people have against us is what stops us from being who we need to be and what we need to be and where we need to be. Because outside influences dictate a lot of who we are. And you got to be aware enough to say, who's influencing this? Is this an influence of the outside world or is this an influence of the inside world, meaning you? Are your friends influencing every move, every behavior that you have going on? Is the outside world influencing everything you got going on? Is social media dictating, how you decide to dress, what you decide to do with your life, how you decide to handle your life? Or are you being ruled and dictated by what's going on inside of you internally? You have to ask yourself those questions. Whose perception is ruling me? Self or others? And you got to learn to be aligned with self and be okay with who you are. Lots of times we think that we have to do as others say we have to do, or we got to be like our friends, or we got to do as our friends do. We got to have what our friends have. And maybe what you have, you got to embrace your enough season. Right now, I have enough. So this season is cool with where I'm at right now. Not saying that you have to settle there, but you got to be okay with the season of having enough. And that's okay. That's good enough to just have enough. And if outside perception says, well, you should have more, you should do this, or you should wear that, or you should be this, or you should go and do that. Ask yourself, is this something healthy within? Is this something that I'm okay with? Is this something I'm comfortable with? Is this something I feel like doing? And if it's not something that you don't feel like doing, then don't do it. Self-awareness tells you, what? I'm gonna do what I feel is good enough for me. What I feel works best for me, what I feel is going to happen for me, what I feel, what I. Go with your feelings first. Put yourself first. Self-awareness, self-awareness. We have the word self. That means you. Awareness, that means mind. You have to be self first, awareness first. Those two come together. That means that you are doing what you feel is right. And even if you get it wrong, guess what? You still took a shot at, choosing you first. You took a stab at it, and there's nothing wrong with that. So in self-awareness, I want to talk about creating brave spaces. Because there's somebody out there who's listening to this, or there's somebody that you may know while you're listening to this that says, what? They don't create brave spaces around them, so I don't feel comfortable being around them. And a brave space is saying, what? You can criticize me. I'm cool with if you go in the comments and say your podcast was good, but this could be better. If it's coming from a genuine place. And you got to learn to discern between the two, genuineness and ungenuineness. Like, is this coming from a genuine place or is it not? Can you create a brave space for people to say, hey, yo, it stinks today. Or that wasn't your best. You could have done better. I know you, so I know you can do better. Creating these brave spaces mean that, people can come around you, people can come to you, and in those spaces, they can say what they need to say to you without you getting offended. Without you feeling a type of way, without you, lashing back at them. And if you start lashing back at them, you got to ask yourself, well, why am I so defensive? What's going on inside of me that has me lashing back at my friends, my family members, or this individual who just wanted to give me a simple, healthy critique? Create brave space around you where people feel comfortable enough to make certain comments and remarks, but also be self-aware to discern if it's coming from this genuine space or it's not. If it's not coming from a genuine space, then guess what? Let it go. Let it go. Let them know, say, hey, stop them in the tracks. Say, hey, this isn't genuine. It doesn't feel genuine, so I'm not gonna allow this. But if it is genuine, say, hey, just I'm coming from a good space and a good heart. You know my heart. You know me. We go back like 6 Flags on the Cadillac. I should be able to. My best friend, any given time, she can say anything that she made to say because I know it's coming from a good place. My college crew, a good place. My family, a good place sometimes. You know, and even my friends, it's a sometimes as well, because I know we just talk a lot of trash to each other. So sometimes it's coming from a good space, sometimes it's coming from a trash talking space. But those are my dogs, Your people and your tribe should be able to come to you about yourself. If they can't, that says a lot about you and your character. That says a lot about you. And you got to ask yourself, well, why don't I like criticism? Why don't I like, when people tell me about myself? Why don't I like when I do something, but I don't want it to be critiqued? And I think that is good, but you know what? The outside world may tell me it may not be. The crazy thing is that people run to social media right before they run to their tribe. They'll ask social media their opinion because social media is in this digital space where we don't really know anybody like that. And it's just digital words coming from people versus our real authentic people who are in our face every day or who are in our phones every day, who know us through and through. Sometimes we run from their opinion because what? It's one, because they know you. And two, it's because you know what they're going to say is going to be in your best interest. But sometimes what happens is we want to be rest in our foolishness sometimes. And we fool the social world in our foolishness and give them this aspect of us and tell them this is who I am. When your real tribe knows, this is who you are. And I don't understand why you're doing that. And that's not you. You need to put that down. So create brave space around yourself, when it comes to these non-judgmental attitudes that come into you who are saying, I'm not trying to judge you. And the issue, people always say, oh, you ain't supposed to judge, you ain't supposed to judge. Honestly, let's let that go, because my thing is, if it's coming from a space of love, then yes, you can be judged. You can be judged if it's coming from a space of love. Now, if it's not coming from a space of love, then no, they don't have the right to judge you for what you're doing. But if it's coming from a space of love, let it be. This is this part of our lives where we got to grow up. We can't run around all the time not acting like we can't be critiqued. We can't run around acting like, that people can't say anything to us. And people got to walk around eggshells around us because they want to say something, but they don't, and they can't because you're going to snap. No, we can't do that. We can't do that anymore. We got to stop doing that, and that's all I really want to talk about, y'all. So do me a solid, like, subscribe, and share this with someone. If you are feeling the podcast, man, I'm really trying to get my numbers up. So if y'all could subscribe and just share this with a friend and say, hey, can you like this? Can you just go and subscribe to his page, man? Because he has a dope podcast and he talks about pretty cool things. And he's a pretty cool guy. I love y'all. Let's heal together. Peace.